MindfulPat.
Lele,
How are you doing?
I'm alive. I'm alive and well. How are you?
Yes, nice. I'm really enjoying the time staying at home actually recently. Unfortunately, it's not maybe something nice to consider. Okay, now there is a crisis, like is a critical moment, but the dimension of working from home for me, it's very pleasant. I can practice more, right? I have a lot of time that I don't commute, where I can take in the morning and in the evening to wake up slowly, perhaps, and do a little practice before I wake up, right? When I'm still, in the bed, or in the evening before going to sleep. So I kind of enjoy this dimension.
Yeah. While it's a big change, right? For everyone, and everyone has lost something. There are gains, right, and benefits.
Yeah.
It's like that glass, right? Is it half full or half empty? But there's so many different ways you can look at the glass, right?
I took the occasion to, we always talk about gratitude in mindfulness, and how important it is to realize what are the great things we have already, not like what we don't have yet. And that is exactly a practice that I've been doing every single day, trying to really think, okay, it seems that it's a very critical situation for humanity even, right? That's interesting. Even if now many countries maybe are opening back again, but there is no threat released. It's just more risk going out, right? We say like we have to live and continue even if with kind of situation. But at the same time, what did we gain? What we realized with this situation, that we had it amazingly. How great it was to go for a coffee with a friend, right? And hug someone, right? Or how amazing was even the traffic jam in the morning, perhaps, to somebody to say, yeah, I would like to be there and wait those 30 minutes in the car listening to my podcast, because now I don't. Now I kind of forced to do something else, right, due to the circumstances.
Yeah.
So gratitude is perhaps a practice that can help us to feel even better. Right?
Of course. And there's a lot of research and science behind that as well. Unfortunately or fortunately, we tend to appreciate things or are grateful for things when we lose them, right? But I think it allows us to get ready for the next thing that will come in the future, right? And to help us appreciate the little things more. What I've noticed is every time I'm doing gratitude work or I'm on a session, and someone's saying, make a list or think of some things that you're grateful for right now. It's really just everything that's happening for me right in this moment, right? So when you started mentioning gratitude, I was thinking, wow, I'm really grateful. I'm breathing. I'm really grateful. I'm connecting with you, Lele, that I could hear you. So it's very simple things that I have right now in my present moment that I'm grateful for. And every time, right? Every time I'm asked or I think, what am I grateful for? I mean, there's just an infinite amount of things that I could pull out just that I'm perceiving right now in this moment that I could be grateful for. Of course, we could get more, complex into, like you're saying, traffic or those conversations we had. And it was really nice, hugging a stranger for the first time after several weeks of lockdown, right? You just really appreciate it more. And the last thing I'll say is, I don't know if you had the same perception, but it's like life has slowed down. And I don't know if it's because we're practicing more, or, I mean, there's probably a combination because everything's kind of, the lockdown has slowed things down, but I've appreciated spring. I've been witnessing slowly everything kind of growing and unfolding and everything slowly moving. And I'm really grateful for that, is how everything's just constantly flowing and growing and changing.
Okay. I would argue there that it depends on how many kids you have at home.
Yeah.
For the slowdown. I have the impression where, in the moment where everything is quiet, like, okay, is there something else? Right? What? But yes, from from the perspective of being in your safe place, in your safe environment, like home, garden, regardless where you are. I see more of the time passing, right? That's what. So the slight change into the season, warmer, colder. Today it's like that, and just remember, because there was a beginning, right? The beginning of the lockdown, the beginning of staying at home. So that is like day zero, and now you're counting the time, right? Since that beginning, how many things I did, what did I experience, right? So I did this, I started this, I built that thing at home, and that's for me. I see it didn't slow down, but the fact that I observe from a beginning the passage of time, right? I could perhaps observe it in a way that I have more attention to that. So that's my interpretation. But also we did also before we were doing some mindfulness sessions, right, with people, and now that particularly where we work, we are across the boundary, so there are maybe we could even gather people from other areas of the world we didn't gather before, right? Just because everyone maybe is looking for not something to do or something that helps them to feel better, right? So did you experience some more kind of fear, or people worried, or people needing mindfulness, or is it just the same as before? Because I'm puzzled about it.
It's, I don't know what it is, but it's a combination of a lot of things. But I feel that people are working more than before, right? You mentioned that you have now more time to practice or, spend time with the kids or whatever, because you're not commuting, right?
Yeah.
And from the conversations I've been having with people is, well, now they don't have the commute, so they're working more, right? I've also been catching myself working sometimes 12, 14-hour days, because it seems like everything is virtual now, right? And it's not that I'm, working just, I'm dreading my work and I have to do this. I enjoy it so much, right? Because there's so much of this demand now for mindfulness, right? Because people are confined in their homes, which helps them realize that they're also confined in their minds, right? And I'm having so much worry and so much thoughts, and it's so difficult for me to focus, and on and on and on. So, of course, they stumble upon mindfulness, because it's not just us that are doing things, but there's so many organizations and universities and institutions and coaches and all these things talking about, mindfulness, talking about meditation, about self-help, about all these topics. So the demand for that has increased exponentially for me personally, and I know for a lot of the mindfulness practice leaders around the world.
Unfortunately, it's not. It's nice to meet something new in the time of need, right? From the other side, it's like, unfortunately, mindfulness is not something that you use when you need. It's you still, many perhaps still have to face the reality that you need to start practicing from now or every day a little bit if you want to see any particular benefit. It's not that you join a session, you breathe, and then okay, I feel nice, but then I go back to my fears or uncertainties and so on, right? It's the constant practice that helps.
Yes. I mean, we could go to the gym for an hour, right? And just feel the benefit, the endorphins. But if you don't go to the gym again in the next few days, right, and continue that process for a few weeks, you're not going to get those benefits, right? You can have the super healthiest meal, right, in whatever it is, right, and your body will derive benefits from that. But if the next day and the day after you don't continue that, right, you're not going to get benefit. What struck me, well, really, now that I'm spending more time alone or not with so many people is we are what we practice, right? And we're practicing all the time. And that latter part, that second statement, was just like, wow, everything that I'm doing throughout my days will build stronger, right? Neuroplasticity will allow the neurological connections to form stronger, right? And so, yeah, I mean, it's as simple as like, well, then I'll become a better toothbrusher, so I don't need to think about it, so I can really mind wander when I do it. But how are you reacting to situations, right? If you're getting angry or frustrated, right, or panicking or having fear, and that's your world, and you're practicing that, and that will become stronger. If you're doing this, then that will become stronger.
So that means that if I get angry now, I'm more keen to get angry, but get better in getting angry next time. So because I experienced something, like I know how this happens, how this feeling, so I might enhance it later and work on it.
Yeah.
No, it's true. So that's how our brain works. So that means that if you want to be better and more quiet, what you need to practice?
Yeah, being more quiet. It goes back to what you're saying originally. Like everyone's asking for the stuff now, right? But it's like this short dose, right? It's kind of like a doctor gives you medicine, right? It will help you, right? But you need to continue this. So my question is, will this continue after the lockdown, right? And I'm hopeful that it will. But this is something that you need to continuously do, and it's, of course, there's the formal practice, right, that you do, but it's also all the informal stuff, right? The way you're running projects, how you're connecting with your family, just being more aware of the autopilots that you have, and seeing if you want to change them, or if you want to continue doing them, right? Because you can make, like going back to that practicing, you can make calmness, you can make stillness, you could make responses, everything that is beneficial for your mind and body, you can make that a habit, so you don't need to think about it, right? But that takes time, and that takes practice, and you need to continue doing that, right? Or you'll change again. Yeah, but Lele, we've had guests, right? I feel like we've been doing more present shows now because
we had a moment where we recorded. And we had more guests that wanted to be in the present show, or we've managed to find, right? That's very nice. I think, and one of these guests actually that came as well from another guest, right? That came from another guest. That this is nice that there is a concatenation of like, I think that you should be in the present show, right? And then sharing. And I like so much too that we could meet so many so many people that have a different way to practice, right? So now we just have Sherry and Mike that are in the channel that are giving their totally different perspective, right? We talk of one about boundaries, and the other one about sport and basketball and performance, and both bring mindfulness into it from a different cut. And we have something that is getting ready for the next. So we have?
We have also from a colleague of ours in IBM. This gentleman is a psychologist, right? A professional psychologist that focuses on children and teenagers from a very specific domain, which is gaming, right? This gentleman is also an avid gamer, a psychologist, right? That really believes in mindfulness and the powers and the practices of mindfulness, and also a bodybuilder, right, or somebody that's really into fitness. So you got these three domains, and from Mexico. So we'll be happy to share that with you soon.
Yeah, that was a cool conversation, and I'm looking forward to share it.
And we have also a wonderful, lovely lady from the States who's a professional ice figure skater and works in Cirque du Soleil, right? A very famous show that's around the world. And she has a great story of how, she was performing very well physically, right? And then one day someone said, but you need to train your mind, right? You need the mental training. She was like, what? And she got into mindfulness that way. So that was also really, really fun and great to hear her story, right? Great case study, right?
The similar, very similar concept what we got with Mike, right, about basketball. So if you want to be a better player, your mind has to be there, right? And so far the only way to train your mind is observing it and knowing what is happening there, right? And knowing how you can focus on it to control it in the moment where you need. And that, of course, it might be called mindfulness, but I experience so many different names of the same thing, right? So it doesn't matter how you call it, right? We call it mindfulness because we started like that and we like the terminology, right? It's being full with your mind, being fully aware. But it can be anything you want as far as you realize the concept of awareness and knowing what is your awareness while you are aware about it.
Yeah. I was even reading an article not too long ago about mindlessness. That and they were kind of bagging on mindfulness and saying, well, yeah, there's mindfulness, but the next step is mindlessness, right? Where you're so full of this awareness that it just becomes empty, right? That you're just present with existence and all this stuff. So, like you said, so many different definitions, and it's a very difficult conversation to have, right? To put words around this thing, right? That's really experimental, right? Really something that you need to experience, right? To really grasp it, right? That's why it's important to practice it, right? And give it a try.
I read a book as well about it's. I think the writer was Douglas Hardin. Was having no head, and so it's similar to mindlessness, perhaps. He's sharing that this concept that one day you might realize you don't have a head, right? So, and in the place where your head is, there is just the word, right? So actually, if you notice, there is everything we can experience, we can see. The only thing we cannot see is our head, right? So this is where you point your finger. That's where the word is. That's where everything is, right? Where you can see everything, experience everything, and that's maybe a starting point for me, and that was a starting point for me to keep realizing as well how to that I'm not here. It's not just me, right? It's what I experience that is the important part, right? There is not a me to experience. There is just the experience in itself and what I can feel and what I can do, and that's where I should be aware about and pay attention to.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And just the advancements in science, right, are showing us also the mind and body connection, right? And I think we should get some guests to talk more about movement, right, and mindfulness, because we're finding out that there's the brain extends and is connected to the body, right? There's a lot of stuff around the heart. There's a lot going on in the gut, right? And there's a correlation. Lots of studies show just by moving a certain way has a direct impact on the brain and on the emotions and all that stuff. So we'll bring you some speakers also in the movement domain. And Madeline, the ice figure skater, she started touching about that, right? But I think it'd be good to show some mindful movement practices as well.
Yeah, the mindful walking, but interesting what Mike said, right? That I also connected with movement was that for him the best time for practicing is after a workout, right? So where particularly you just did some movement when you have still the energy, this kind of aura from the what you did, and that's the good moment to find even better concentration into your awareness. So it's very much connected, and it's true. Like try it just now. Or we had also that practice of yoga where we were like just doing, keep moving for a little while, right? And then you stop and whoo, it's interesting. It's
Matthias, right? Matthias from Germany.
Matthias, yes. So yeah, movement. That's so. Looking forward for that as well.
It makes total sense because a lot of the practice is coming back, right? Coming back to your senses, to your breath.
Mm-hmm.
And after a workout, right, all your nerve endings are firing, your blood's flowing, the oxygen's flowing, so you have a better connection to your body. So often when you do a yoga practice, there's this corpse or shavasana position, right? Or there's cool downs across every single sports, right? Where you're just kind of with yourself, so you can sense your body more, sense kind of being, right? And like you're saying, kind of go away from the head, be headless, right? And be more body full if we're going along that route. So yeah, very interesting.
At the same time, you wonder what is the practice in itself, right? So it's awareness. So you focus on learning, because if you want to be more aware, then you need to find some cues that bring you there, right? So and when you have stronger sensation, perhaps workouts, so your heart is beating faster, you feel some energy, then you can actually feel more things because they're much more enhanced, like a highlight on a white paper, right? While if you're just totally quiet and relaxed, then perhaps you really need to listen more into all your sensation to find out. So you could perhaps even be aware of your skin or of your blood circulation, right? Of your heart, even if you're kind of very calm. But you require kind of a lot of concentration. You might get there not immediately, but after some time, right? It might even take half an hour or 1 hour or more to really get there. But while if you do work out, in 1 minute you are already experiencing, right? So particularly if you're starting, or if you want to be aware all the time throughout your day, finding out these cues, it can be helpful.
Yeah. I like how you can find people across the spectrum that will focus on a certain thing, right? So what came to my mind was, if somebody wants to get better in tune with their heart, right? That's the practices, that's the niche, that's what they do, right? And over months, years, decades of practice, right, they might even get to the point where they could, stop or start the heart, right? Some people get very much into colors and chakras, right? And light and all that stuff. Other people will just focus strictly on the movement, right? And going back to what we were saying earlier is, right, we are what we're practicing, and we're always practicing, right? So whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is that you are or you enjoy, right? Just be more aware, be more mindful while you're doing it, so you can enhance that experience and become better at doing that. But be careful, because you will develop the bad and you will develop the good.
Okay, so that's a good final thought to bring and to reflect on it, right? If you guys like this type of conversation, right? We wanted me and Pat to not only to share, we bring guests, but since we experience different situation, we talk with different people, we do practice, we lead practice with other of our friends and colleagues. So we will bring a little chat like that from time to time in our present show, right? So if you like it, or you want to know more, or if you would like to know something about any particular topic, just like the button, comment below, and we are happy to bring more and to find more opportunity for chatting and talking around mindfulness and whatever else is connected with it. Pat, is always a pleasure. So have fun, take care, be mindful, and see you the next one.